high polished art form. She's an entertainer. She's skilled in dance. She's skilled in singing. And my mother still loves the fact that there was a Hollywood movie starring Marlon Brando when he falls in love with a geisha, because it romanticizes Japan. Sayonara. Goodbye.
Yok, tout le monde. Oh, mais là,
They are not prostitutes. They are not prostitutes. Geishas do not equal prostitutes. But somehow in 2018, it's still that kind of belief still exists that Japanese women dressed in the beautiful geisha with the white makeup and the painted red lips that are very small, but very petite, with the kimono, with the fan, with everything. That's a very, very beautiful, but it's a very specific type of Japanese cultured woman. It seems to have impacted the impression of what Japanese women are.
Yo.
Barbarian the Geisha, the horrible John Wayne movie, where again the white man is going to rescue the Japanese woman and take the beautiful Japanese flower of a woman, you know, to be his loving wife, to be his subservient wife.
America, so far away.
Not so far away that I'll forget you. Every time I see a woman with ornaments in her hair, I'll think of Okichi with the yellow combs.
But, of course, the romanticization falls into cliche, and it falls into prejudice. It falls into not the racial kind of prejudice where it's, you know, that Japanese women are because they're all delicate flowers, that we all know how to dance, that we all serve tea, that we're all very genteel. We need to tell a little bit more truthful portrayals of Japanese, but also we just need to portray people who are just regular people who have nothing to do with their culture. It's like I'm as an American as, you know, the girl next door.
There's some outrageous examples. Probably the most extreme is Mickey Rooney in Breakfast at Tiffany's, where he plays this very, very extreme, silly Japanese caricature, and it's a good film, and then he's otherwise, suddenly he appears from time to time as Mr. Yumioshi, and it's really embarrassing today.
Won't you join me?
Yes, join Audrey Hepburn as you've never seen her before.
Breakfast at Tiffany's. I think that was one of the most popular movies of its time. Audrey Hepburn's so glamorous, except that it's got one of the worst caricatures of Japanese Americans and Japanese people in the history of yellowface, right? So we have Mickey Rooney, who is a white, you know, very famous white musical, you know, very huge star, playing a Japanese character, and he's got the buck teeth, the black, you know, glasses, and he's wearing a kimono. He's walking around really strange, bumps into things because, you know, Asians are clumsy or something. So it's this the kind of bumbling idiot, right? It also speaks with a very heavy, exaggerated accent.
But that's unbelievable! You cannot go on or keep bringing my bill!
It really makes me so angry. It makes me so angry that the depiction of Mickey Rooney, who has since apologized, as well as Blake Edwards, for that nasty impression of a Japanese man. It just makes me so angry that that was deemed as funny, that was deemed as hysterical, that was deemed as humorous. And I saw it and I go, what the fuck is this? This is a Japanese man. He has nothing to do with what my father is or my grandfather is or so many Japanese or Japanese American men I know. It was such an embarrassment. The two examples of Marlon Brando in Tea House, the August Moon playing Sekini and Mickey Rooney, is that they're playing Japanese men, pulling their eyes into squinty, wearing bad yellow makeup, and putting on a very, very, very bad accent.
Marlon Brando, whose talents have ranged from William Shakespeare to Damon Runyon, is out of this world as Sakini.
Sakini Hill, boss.
Don't
confusing and disturbing, but as long as we know that it's only a moment in time these Hollywood films take place, it's a picture, it's a photograph, it's a Polaroid of how we wanted to tell stories in that particular time and place.
Sakini. You are a civilian employee in the pay of the United States Army, and should dress accordingly. Pull your socks up.
Very sorry, boss. Very sorry. Socks up. Anything more, boss?
That'll be all. Is that as fast as you can walk?
No, boss. But the walking is faster. Socks fall down.
And that's how I've always felt growing up and watching these old films, is that they didn't really understand who Japanese people were. They didn't really understand who Chinese Americans were. They just saw them as other. The Korean War started to open up the world to more bigger audiences, and that we want to see more stories dealing with these beautiful places, because we've already championed them. We won over, the Japanese in World War II. We won in the Korean War. We won in the Korean War, and we're entering the Vietnam War. It's that we're trying to see how we're becoming a little bit more global, a little bit more educated.
Also, I think greater recognition with getting closer to the civil rights era, that there is just more, also like during the civil rights era, there was also a third world movement. So as you're moving closer to the Vietnam War, the young people are starting to have a greater understanding of geopolitics and starting to rebel against kind of older sentiments of seeing these parts of the world as enemy, right? Or this group of people, like people of color, as enemy, and women's rights. And I think that there's just the beginning of kind of an awakening of oh, we have issues. So a lot of these race movies came out. So even kind of Crimson Kimono.
The sensational murder of Sugar Torch, burlesque queen, triggers a manhunt in the teeming streets of Little Tokyo in Los Angeles, and fires a turbulent love story between an American girl and a Japanese boy.
You mean you want to marry her? You have said it that way, White.
One of the most interesting films is Samuel Fuller's The Crimson Kimono, which came out in 1958. It was about two policemen in Los Angeles investigating a crime in Little Tokyo, which is a part of downtown LA where a lot of Japanese people have lived and had businesses. And one of these detectives is Japanese American, one is white Anglo guy. And the white woman in the film winds up with the Japanese American guy. She prefers him to the white guy, and they kiss, and that was a big deal. Nobody else was doing that kind of thing.
It can never work out, Chris. If he feels like that, what can I expect from you?
Everything. Because I love you.
Fuller was a tough-minded guy who understood social issues, and he was not afraid of controversies, and he loved plunging into controversies. Very liberal guy, very democratic.
But it was a very personal movie to Samuel Fuller. He wanted to show a romance between a Japanese American male and a white American female, which really hadn't been done before. And he tried to sell the idea to Sam Briskin, who was the producer there. And Sam, as to be expected in 1959, he wasn't exactly thrilled by the idea. He was saying, well, you're going to have to make the white cop, who's the third part of the triangle, a bad guy. But Samuel Fuller resisted. He wanted them both to be good cops.
back in the 50s, this was a dicey thing.
Living with you here, like this, brings dishonor on them. And they hate any of us who give that impression to foreigners.
Sam led the way with House of Bamboo, which deals with complex relationships between Americans and Japanese after the war.
You don't tell them the truth, they're gonna get rid of me, understand? Now what's my name?
And he realized that there is a lot of conflicts, sexual conflicts and personal conflicts, and so he deals with them honestly.
I don't want anything to happen to you.
But they're refreshing today because they seem much more modern.